45. And we'll look at 47. But in 45, when we take a look at that one, here's the biggest mistake that people have been making in 45. We know that we have already rented it for $1,500, and that was for 3 hours that the band was playing, right? So they just said, here's your upfront, you gotta pay $3. Plus, most people go, oh, we're charging $125 for each additional half hour. So plus 125, and they'll put an H. And I kind of agree with H, because H for hours. But really, our H stands for not hours, but half of an hour, right? It doesn't really mean it's 1 hour. So when we solve, we got to be careful for that. And the group had 2,125. So can we spend more than 2,125? Can we spend exactly? So less or equal to 2,125. So we got it set up. We subtract 1,500. We get 21 minus 15, 625. Keep the inequality. If you change it on the test to an equal sign, like I have to take off a point, right? Because it's not an equal. And we had 125H. So, you have your calculators, 625 divided by 125. And this is why I asked if you solved it. Because you get 625 divided, what'd you end up with, Mark? 5. And you're like, I looked in the back and the answer said 5.5 and I got 5. There's no way. This is less or equal to 5 what? Half. This is 5 half hours, which actually means in time, it's how many hours? 5 halves. 2 halves is an hour, another 2 halves is an hour. This is only, when we take a look at this, this is 2.5 hours, right? So you're adding this 2.5 to the 3. That's how they got 5.5 hours. It's not this 5. This 5 referred to half-hour time spots. I won't give you one like that. I'll have the variable just stand for like the hour or the half hour as you are looking. Okay. If you know that this test is between an 84 and 86 and you're looking at 3 scores, you're going to add the 3 scores plus the 4th unknown and divide by 4. Why divide by 4? Because we're finding the average. Okay. So when you look at question number 42, it says that the acidity of your swimming pool when you want people in is going to be between 7.2 and 7.8. So when I write down number 42, the lowest that my acidity level can be is 7.2, which means I'm going to have 7.2 is less or equal. And then I'm going to say, well, the top it can be is 7.8. And what were my 2 findings that I already found in my swimming pool? The first 2 readings were at 7.4 plus 7.9 plus, we don't know, X. So it's almost like that example on the test. But now instead of dividing by 4, we didn't have 4 tests, we didn't have 4 readings. We only had 3. We're going to divide by 3. So first step when you were doing that in your notes was to get rid of, and I would recommend the same thing, get rid of the fraction, right? How do I get rid of dividing by 3 here? I'm going to multiply by 3. But now I'm going to take this times 3, and I'm going to take the 7.8 times 3. So this comes out to be, take out those calculators so you guys can help me out and give me what you're going to have. 3 times 7.2, so want to tell me what that answer is going to look like? 21.6, thank you. And then we are going to do 7.8 times 3. 20 what? 3. 7.4. Now, could you have added these two together already? 7.4 and 7.9, for sure. You're not going to subtract one of them yet. Add those together. So we actually have 15.3, right? Plus x, less or equal to 23.4, greater or equal. And by the way, when you read this, remember, we're reading that this whole thing is greater or equal to 21.6, and this whole thing is less or equal to 23.4. And at this point, it's a lot easier to solve, right? How do I get the x by itself? If I want to get x by itself, I'm going to subtract 15.3, 15.3. I just have to do it in 3 spots, right? Because it's a compound problem. There's not just 2 sides of an equation, there's kind of 3 sides. All right, so that's how you're finishing that one. The other one that you asked about was 41. Now, when I look at 41, and I have -4/3 less or equal to 1/7 w minus 3/4 less than 1. Could I try and get this 1/7 w just by itself first? Is that possible still with dealing with fractions? Yes. If I wanted to get rid of fractions, I might decide I have to do some multiplying, but my hint would be, like, how do you get rid of a -3/4? You add 3/4, right? Can we add 3/4 to 1? That's pretty easy, right? This is going to be 1 3/4. Can I subtract 3/4 over here? Well, I want to have a common denominator, but for these two, I can just get a common denominator for these two. This is going to be a negative. If we are looking at this, we're probably multiplying by 4 to get a common denominator of 12. So that they both have a common denominator of 12. This would be a -16/12, right? This one, if I multiply by 3, would be a -9/12. And that's kind of nice. -16 plus -9 gives us a -25/12. This was a plus 3/4 here?
You have to add it instead of...
Oh, back here, right here. Oh, good. Thank you. Good. So we are adding 9 and 16. So instead, we ended up with -16 plus 9, which gives us 16 minus 9 gives us 7/12. And this is less or equal. And we get 1/7 times w. Now, the reason I didn't eliminate my denominator right away is because 7, 4, and 3, like I have to go with, what can 3 go into, and 7, it's a bigger number. Whereas this point, how do I get rid of multiplying by 1/7? I'm going to multiply on both sides by 7/1, by 7, right? I might rewrite this. This is going to be 7/4, right? That's what this is equal to. I'm going to multiply by 7. I'm going to multiply here. I have to take every single part of the equation times that 7. 49/12. I can leave it like that. Can you change it to a fraction or a mixed number or decimal? Yes. Less or equal to w. Less or equal to, 7 times 7, 49/4. You can leave it like that. You don't have to get a 12 video. They're telling you write an absolute value inequality that represents this set of numbers. And here is what they are talking about from your notes. Right here. That when we read this, nope, not this one, sorry. This. An inequality that represents all the numbers that are less than 2 units. Less than 2 units. That goes here. Away from 1 on the number line. N minus 1. This one says, write an inequality represents numbers that are more than 2 units away from one number on the number line. So, we are looking at the two that you asked about, question number 72 and 73. All real numbers more than 2 units from 6. Oh, 2 units from 6, that's going to be the absolute value of n. Do I want to go minus 6 or minus 2? I want to go minus 6. More than, this is my greater than because it says more than 2. So when you write that, look back at that page of the notes as you started A12. And if you haven't done A12 notes, were you supposed to? That's coming up tonight, tomorrow. Just at tomorrow in class, I'm not here to explain that to you. So, could you now even try 71, right, and 74? So 74, all real numbers at least 2 units from negative 1. At least 2 units from negative 1. N minus negative 1, which is really going to be rewritten as n plus 1, right? More than at least 2. What does at least mean? Are we going less or greater or equal? Less or equal, greater or equal. It says at least. You have to be at least 18 to vote. Think of that one. That's like one that's easy, right? Or you have to be, so it's going to be greater or equal to 2. So it's very similar. These two are very similar as you're looking at it. Okay. Any other ones? If we look at this by adding 6 to both sides, what do I end up with? Oh, 2 units away from 6 is 8, right? If I would have had plus 6, this would be negative 4. That doesn't make sense. Negative 4 is not 2 units from 6, right? Here's 6 on my number line. I'm thinking 2 units up and 2 units down. Adding 2, subtracting 2. I should get answers of 4 and 8. I just got one being 8. When I do this one, if I solve it, I get n is less than, if we're adding that, 4. Oh, this is 4. Okay, so this is always a minus away from that. Okay, anyone else? Please know, come to the Zoom if it works. And again, Monday's advisory. My group for advisory, we're going to plan to meet maybe 5-10 minutes. I know Monday we don't have much to do. So as soon as you see office hours open on your EduCal and you're at home and your advisory met for a few minutes, come to mine.